Most people don't lose because they lack intelligence. They lose because they're addicted to being liked. Let that sit for a second. Being liked is comfortable. It feels safe. It feels socially intelligent. It feels mature. But being liked is not the same as being respected. And if you confuse the two, you quietly hand over control of your life to people who are more strategic than you. Nice people smooth things over. Nice people explain themselves. Nice people adjust their tone so no one feels uncomfortable. Nice people apologize for things that don't require apologies. Strategic people do something different. They observe tension. They allow silence. They let discomfort do the work. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. Most niceness is not virtue. It's fear disguised as morality. It's fear of disapproval, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing approval. You tell yourself you're being mature. But what if you're just avoiding friction? Nice people avoid tension. Strategic people control tension. That's the difference. If I watched you in a room for 10 minutes, I wouldn't need your resume. I wouldn't need your credentials. I would just watch how quickly you adjust to others, how fast you fill silence, how often you soften your words, how quickly you defend yourself when challenged. And from that alone, I could measure your leverage. So here's the real question. Who benefits from your niceness? You or the people who push you, test you, and quietly take advantage of your predictability? Because predictability is comfort for other people. But unpredictability, that creates caution. And caution creates respect. Now let me make something very clear. This is not about becoming cruel. This is not about becoming aggressive. This is not about turning into someone bitter or hostile. This is about behavioral calibration. It's about shifting from moral thinking to strategic thinking. You don't need to change your personality. You need to change your positioning. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something most people still resist today. Power does not respond to good intentions. It responds to perception, access, and timing. Control perception, control access, control timing, and you control the frame. In this video, I'm going to break down 7 psychology shifts that move you from approval seeker to position controller. These are not surface-level tips. These are structural upgrades in how you move, speak, respond, and design your reputation. 7 upgrades that increase leverage without aggression. 7 shifts that separate the agreeable from the influential. 7 moves that turn nice into measured, intentional, and strategically dangerous. But before we go deeper, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose leverage. Number 1. Stop seeking psychological safety. There is a silent addiction most people never confront. It is not addiction to pleasure. It is not addiction to money. It is addiction to psychological comfort. The need for conversations to stay smooth. The need for rooms to feel relaxed. The need for every exchange to end without tension. That instinct feels mature, but it quietly strips away influence. When you prioritize comfort over positioning, you train yourself to shrink. You avoid statements that may challenge someone. You soften truths that need clarity. You hesitate before expressing boundaries because you fear friction. And every time you do that, you reinforce a dangerous pattern. You place emotional safety above strategic advantage. High-value individuals understand something different. Discomfort is not a threat. It is a tool. Tension reveals hierarchy. It reveals confidence. It reveals who is willing to stand firm when pressure rises. The moment an interaction becomes slightly uncomfortable, most people rush to relieve it. They laugh, they clarify, They overcompensate, they apologize, they dilute their stance, and in doing so, they lower their status. The person who remains steady during tension controls the temperature of the room. Think about it. When someone challenges you directly, what is your instinct? Do you rush to defend? Do you immediately explain? Do you try to smooth the situation? Or do you pause, hold eye contact, and let silence stretch just long enough to make your presence felt? Psychological safety is often code for avoiding risk, but leverage is built through controlled risk. When you allow a moment of friction to exist without scrambling to fix it, something shifts. People reassess you. They recalibrate. They begin to measure their words more carefully, not because you raised your voice, not because you became hostile, but because you did not retreat. Power frequently sits on the other side of unease. You must retrain your nervous system to tolerate that edge. The slight tightening in the air when you speak directly. The pause after you disagree. The stillness after you set a boundary. Those moments are not threats to your image. They are upgrades to your authority. Comfort-seeking behavior keeps you agreeable. Advantage-seeking behavior keeps you respected. This does not mean manufacturing conflict. It means refusing to escape it prematurely. It means recognizing that growth requires controlled exposure to tension. The moment you stop trying to make every environment feel pleasant, you begin to feel grounded. And grounded people are difficult to move. So ask yourself honestly, how many times have you avoided a necessary statement just to keep the atmosphere light? How many times have you laughed something off that deserved correction? How often have you chosen peace over positioning? Each time you did, you protected temporary harmony at the cost of long-term influence. From now on, you operate differently. You do not chase comfort. You evaluate outcomes. If allowing a moment of discomfort increases clarity, you allow it. If holding steady strengthens your position, you hold. This is not aggression. It is composure under pressure. When you stop needing every interaction to feel safe, you start becoming someone others approach carefully. And careful treatment is the beginning of respect. Number 2, detach from immediate approval. There is a powerful force that quietly shapes behavior more than logic ever will. It is not intelligence, it is not discipline, it is the craving for validation, the desire to be accepted right now, the need for nods, smiles, reassurance, agreement. That impulse feels human, but when it controls you, it turns you into a puppet. Approval in the short term feels rewarding. It releases tension. It gives you a sense of belonging. But dependence on approval makes you adjustable, and adjustable people are easy to position. When you need positive feedback immediately, your decisions become compromised. You soften statements to avoid pushback. You tailor opinions to match the room. You hesitate to contradict someone who holds status. You calculate your words based on how they will be received, instead of whether they are aligned with your objectives. Influence cannot grow inside the cage of constant validation. Strategic individuals understand something crucial. Respect is often delayed. Authority is rarely comfortable in the beginning. When you speak with conviction, not everyone will agree. When you enforce standards, not everyone will applaud. When you refuse to bend for instant harmony, some people will feel challenged. That is not loss, that is filtration. The need for immediate approval creates predictability. Others quickly learn how to manage you. They discover what earns your smile, what earns your silence, what earns your retreat. And once that pattern is recognized, your leverage decreases. Detachment from instant validation changes your posture. You stop scanning faces for reassurance. You stop adjusting your tone to chase approval. You stop measuring your value by reaction speed. Instead, you measure by positioning. There is a powerful shift that happens when you accept being temporarily misunderstood. When you speak clearly and allow others to process without rushing to repair your image. When you state your stance and resist the urge to justify it excessively. When you prioritize long-term perception over momentary applause. That is maturity. Long-term positioning requires tolerance for short-term friction. The person who can endure brief discomfort without scrambling to regain acceptance is the person who slowly gains authority. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you check the emotional temperature of the room before speaking? How often do you adjust your delivery to avoid disapproval? How often do you feel unsettled when someone disagrees with you? Every one of those reactions is a signal. It shows where your need for approval still holds power. Freedom begins when validation becomes optional. When you detach from the hunger for instant agreement, something shifts internally. You become more deliberate, more centered, more composed. You stop negotiating your standards for applause. You begin operating from alignment instead of reaction. And ironically, that is when respect starts to grow. Because people trust those who do not constantly seek reassurance. They trust individuals who remain steady without fishing for affirmation. They respect those who can hold a position calmly, even if it creates silence. You are not here to be universally approved. You are here to build leverage. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't chase approval. When validation no longer controls your behavior, your presence changes, and when your presence changes, the way people respond to you changes with it. Number 3, shift from reaction to delay. Most people believe that quick responses signal intelligence, confidence, dominance. In reality, instant reactions often reveal impulsiveness. When someone challenges you and you fire back immediately, you expose your emotional wiring. When pressure rises and you respond without pause, you surrender control of tempo. Tempo is power. The one who controls timing controls direction. Impulsive responses are predictable. They show your triggers. They show your pressure points. They show exactly where you can be influenced. If someone knows they can provoke an immediate reply from you, they know they can steer you. Delay disrupts that pattern. When you introduce a pause, you create uncertainty. And uncertainty shifts the psychological balance. The other person begins to wonder what you're thinking. They begin to reconsider their position. They start to replay what they said. Silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to face their own words. This is not passive behavior. It is controlled pacing. Think about the last time someone made a bold statement in your presence. Did you instantly correct them? Did you jump in to defend yourself? Did you rush to prove something? That urgency may have felt powerful, but it likely reduced your leverage. Strategic delay does 3 things simultaneously. First, it gives you space to assess. You evaluate the situation from above instead of inside it. You observe tone, intention, subtext. You choose a response based on outcome, not emotion. Second, it shifts psychological pressure outward. When you do not immediately respond, the other person begins to fill the silence mentally. Doubt grows, curiosity grows, sometimes even insecurity grows. Third, it reinforces composure. Calm timing communicates internal stability. It signals that you are not easily moved. The majority of people operate on reflex. They answer texts instantly. They respond to criticism instantly. They defend themselves instantly. They make decisions instantly. And because they operate at that speed, they're easy to anticipate. Introduce delay, and you become harder to read. This does not mean ignoring everything. It means choosing when to speak. It means resisting the urge to satisfy immediate tension. It means letting moments breathe. Imagine someone questions your capability publicly. Instead of reacting, you pause. You look at them steadily. You allow a few seconds to pass. Then you respond calmly, directly, without emotional charge. That measured delivery carries more weight than any rapid comeback. Control of timing equals control of the frame. When you decide when an interaction moves forward, you shape its structure. When you decide when to respond, you influence momentum. When you refuse to be rushed, you reclaim authority. Ask yourself, how often do you feel compelled to answer immediately? How often do you feel discomfort when silence stretches? How often do you allow urgency to dictate your behavior? That urgency is a habit, and habits can be redesigned. From now on, practice calculated pacing. Before responding, breathe. Before replying, assess. Before reacting, evaluate. Not every statement deserves instant attention. The more you slow down intentionally, the more deliberate you become. And deliberate individuals are difficult to manipulate. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control the tempo. When you stop reacting instantly and start responding strategically, the entire dynamic shifts. And once you control timing, you are no longer playing defense. You are directing the rhythm. Number 4, redefine kindness as selective. Kindness has been romanticized into weakness. You've been told that generosity should be constant, that patience should be unlimited, that understanding should be automatic. And while compassion has value, indiscriminate generosity destroys authority. When you extend the same level of warmth to everyone, regardless of their behavior, you erase hierarchy. You remove consequence. You flatten standards. Strategic individuals understand something crucial. Generosity without discernment reduces perceived worth. If your time, energy, and support are available to anyone at any moment, they lose scarcity. And scarcity is what gives value weight. Think of it this way. If someone knows you will always be supportive, always forgiving, always accommodating, they stop treating your support as something earned. It becomes expected. And what becomes expected loses impact. Selective generosity changes the dynamic. When your encouragement is intentional, it becomes meaningful. When your patience is conditional, it becomes respected. When your support is reserved for those who align with your standards, it becomes powerful. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming calibrated. You must evaluate where your energy goes, who receives your time, who receives your focus, who receives your guidance, who receives your empathy, and more importantly, why. If your kindness is automatic, it is not strategic. It is habitual. High-level operators distribute support based on alignment and contribution. They reward effort. They acknowledge loyalty. They amplify those who demonstrate discipline. But they do not pour energy into individuals who disregard boundaries or undermine standards. When generosity is selective, people become conscious of their behavior around you. They understand that your time is not unlimited. They recognize that your approval is not guaranteed. They realize that alignment with your standards earns access. And that realization creates respect. Unlimited kindness creates comfort. Selective kindness creates structure. Structure builds authority. Consider how many times you've extended patience to someone who repeatedly crossed lines. Consider how often you've offered support to someone who did not reciprocate effort. Consider how frequently you've tolerated behavior that diluted your value because you didn't want to appear harsh. That pattern conditions others to expect more than they deserve. Selective generosity corrects that imbalance. When someone demonstrates discipline, you reinforce it. When someone shows integrity, you acknowledge it. When someone aligns with your principles, you invest in them. But when someone disrespects your standards, you withdraw energy. Calmly, without hostility, without drama, just reduced access. This is not punishment, it is positioning. Your time is limited. Your attention is limited. Your resources are limited. Treat them as assets, not obligations. When people realize that your support must be earned, they approach differently. They act differently. They speak differently. Because now there is consequence. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My energy is earned. When you redefine kindness as intentional rather than automatic, you stop being taken for granted. And the moment you stop being taken for granted, your presence gains weight. Number 5. Learn to withhold closure. Most people are uncomfortable with unfinished business. They need every conversation wrapped up neatly, every disagreement resolved immediately, every question answered fully, every silence filled. That instinct feels responsible, but it creates vulnerability. The desire for closure exposes need. When you rush to clarify everything, you signal that you require emotional resolution. When you over-explain to eliminate misunderstanding, you reveal attachment to perception. When you chase finality, you surrender mystery. Mystery is leverage. Not every statement requires elaboration. Not every challenge deserves a detailed breakdown. Not every raised eyebrow demands explanation. Strategic individuals understand the power of leaving space. When you do not immediately tie every loose end, you create psychological gravity. The other person continues thinking about the interaction long after it ends. They replay your words. They analyze your tone. They question what you meant. They speculate. That mental engagement increases your weight in their mind. When everything is explained, processed, and neutralized instantly, the moment evaporates. There is nothing left to consider. Uncertainty creates presence. This does not mean being vague or deceptive. It means resisting the urge to overcomplete. It means understanding that silence can be more influential than excessive clarity. Imagine someone questions your decision. Instead of delivering a full justification, you respond concisely, direct, calm, final. Then you stop. You do not elaborate unless necessary. You allow their curiosity to work. That restraint shifts the dynamic. People expect transparency to the point of self-exposure. They expect full access to your reasoning. They expect you to relieve their discomfort by explaining yourself thoroughly. You are not obligated to do that. When you leave certain things unsaid, you elevate your positioning. It communicates internal security. It shows that you do not depend on external agreement to feel settled. Overclosure often comes from insecurity, the need to ensure everyone understands you, the need to prevent misinterpretation, the need to protect your image from distortion, but controlled ambiguity forces others to adjust to you. Ask yourself, how often do you rush to clarify after someone seems confused? How often do you send follow-up messages to ensure your point landed correctly? How often do you feel uneasy when a conversation ends without total alignment? That unease is where growth begins. The individual who can walk away from a discussion without needing immediate resolution holds power. They understand that perception evolves over time. They trust their positioning. They allow curiosity to build. When you resist over-explaining, you prevent dilution. You become harder to categorize, harder to predict, harder to simplify. And when people cannot fully read you, they tread more carefully. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I embrace mystery. When you stop chasing closure and start allowing space, your words carry more weight, your silence carries more influence, and your presence lingers long after the conversation ends. Number 6. Evaluate every interaction as a power exchange. Most people walk into conversations thinking they're just having conversations. They're not. Every interaction subtly adjusts hierarchy. Every exchange shifts positioning. Every moment either elevates you slightly or lowers you slightly. The movement may be small, almost invisible, but it accumulates. Status is rarely decided in dramatic confrontations. It is shaped in ordinary moments. When you stop seeing conversations as neutral and start recognizing them as exchanges of influence, your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice details most people ignore. Who speaks first? Who interrupts? Who adjusts tone? Who laughs quickly? Who leans in? Who leans back? These micro-behaviors reveal balance. Influence is not always about domination. It is about distribution of effort. Who is investing more energy? Who is chasing validation? Who is adapting to maintain harmony? Who is holding ground? If you consistently invest more than the other person, more explanation, more enthusiasm, more reassurance, you slowly position yourself beneath them. Effort imbalance creates perception imbalance. Strategic individuals track this instinctively. They observe whether the other person is qualifying themselves. They notice whether they are being asked thoughtful questions. They pay attention to whether respect is reciprocated. And when imbalance appears, they recalibrate. Recalibration does not require confrontation. It requires awareness. If someone dominates airtime, you reduce yours intentionally and observe their reaction. If someone interrupts repeatedly, you maintain eye contact and continue speaking calmly. If someone demands too much access, you adjust availability. Every adjustment shifts the equation. Think about the last few interactions you had today. Did you adapt more than the other person? Did you adjust your tone to match theirs? Did you work harder to keep the exchange flowing? That data matters. When you operate consciously, you stop bleeding influence in small increments. You also begin to recognize strategic investment. When someone respects your time, values your input, and contributes evenly, you reinforce that dynamic. Balanced exchanges build sustainable authority. Imbalanced exchanges create silent hierarchy. There is another layer here: energy. Where does your focus go? Who occupies your mental space after conversations end? If someone leaves you drained consistently, the exchange is uneven. If someone leaves you sharpened and engaged, the balance is healthier. Power is not loud, it is measured. The individual who remains centered while others overextend slowly becomes the reference point in the room, not because they demanded it, because they managed energy wisely. From now on, enter every conversation with awareness, not paranoia. Awareness. Observe without reacting, measure without insecurity, adjust without drama. When you see interaction as strategic terrain, you stop operating blindly. You stop giving away influence accidentally. And once you begin managing exchanges deliberately, your positioning strengthens naturally. When you evaluate interactions through the lens of balance, you stop being moved unconsciously. You start moving intentionally, and intentional movement creates authority that feels effortless but is anything but accidental. Number 7. Design your reputation intentionally. If you don't define how you are perceived, other people will do it for you. And once a label sticks, it quietly shapes every future interaction. Reputation is not built in one dramatic moment. It is constructed through repeated impressions. small decisions, consistent behavior, reactions under pressure, patterns in speech, standards you enforce, standards you ignore. Most people let this process happen passively. They move through rooms, hoping others interpret them correctly. They assume their intentions will speak for themselves. They believe consistency alone is enough. It's not. Perception is engineered. Strategic individuals understand that image is leverage, not a fake persona, not manipulation, but controlled signaling. You must decide what psychological effect you want to create when you enter a space. Do you want to be seen as agreeable or decisive? Do you want to be known for compliance or standards? Do you want people to feel relaxed around you or measured in your presence? You cannot be everything, and attempting to be universally liked weakens your positioning. Reputation is long-term power. When people know that you are steady under pressure, they test you less. When they understand that you enforce boundaries calmly, they cross them less. When they recognize that your words are deliberate, they listen more carefully. But this does not happen randomly. It happens because your behavior is aligned with the image you intend to project. If you tolerate disrespect publicly once, that moment becomes reference material. If you overreact emotionally once, that becomes part of your narrative. If you chase approval repeatedly, that becomes your brand. Every action contributes to a profile in other people's minds. Designing reputation means thinking beyond the moment. Before you respond, you ask yourself, what does this reaction teach others about me? Before you accept behavior, you ask, what precedent am I setting? Consistency is the foundation. If you fluctuate wildly, calm one day, reactive the next, people become comfortable testing limits. Predictable strength commands more caution than unpredictable mood. There is another layer, restraint. When you are known for measured responses rather than dramatic ones, your rare displays of intensity carry weight. When you are known for discipline rather than emotional volatility, your presence signals stability. Over time, that image solidifies. People begin adjusting before you speak. They anticipate your standards. They calculate their behavior in advance. That is reputation working for you. You must also protect it. Avoid impulsive decisions that contradict the identity you are building. Avoid emotional reactions that weaken the structure you are constructing. Avoid temporary behavior that undermines long-term positioning. Reputation compounds. Once established, it reduces the need for constant correction. It lowers friction. It increases influence without additional effort. Ask yourself honestly, if someone described you in 3 words, what would they say? And is that description aligned with the authority you want? If not, adjustments begin now. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I shape perception. When you intentionally design how you are seen, you stop leaving influence to chance. And when influence is no longer accidental, leadership becomes inevitable. You've just gone through 7 structural upgrades. You moved from comfort-seeking to tension tolerance, from validation hunger to internal alignment, from impulsive reaction to controlled tempo, from automatic generosity to intentional investment, from over-clarity to strategic space, from unconscious exchanges to managed balance, from accidental image to engineered reputation. This is the difference between surviving socially and operating strategically. Nice survives, smart positions, understand something clearly. None of this requires aggression. None of this requires hostility. None of this requires becoming someone you're not. It requires discipline. Discipline in speech, discipline in timing, discipline in energy, discipline in identity. When you stop acting nice out of fear and start moving with intention, the entire dynamic shifts. People sense it. They feel it. They adjust. Not because you demanded respect, because your positioning demands it for you. Now here's where most people fail. They hear content like this. They feel motivated. They nod. And then tomorrow, under pressure, they revert to old patterns. Don't do that. Transformation is not in understanding, it's in repetition. If this video shifted something in you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs it. Remember this: stop acting nice to survive, start playing smart to lead, and from this point forward, move deliberately.